Okay, this is a really big deal. Bitcoin right now has formed another weekly candle, and well, we've got another few hours left, 5 hours, but it's pretty much over. And it means some really big things for the chart. We've now engulfed the previous 4 weeks of trading, which means that within one weekly candle, it has completely overshadowed, eclipsed, and erased the progress of the previous 4 weeks of trading. And that is a really big deal. When we get a candle that does this kind of thing, it doesn't always happen, but it is regularly the case that more downside comes. In fact, it's almost always the case that more downside comes. There are very few exceptions to this. And I mean, it definitely happens, and I can find you exceptions. You know, it wouldn't be too hard to find them. But it's very clear that this is something to pay attention to. So I'm going to be outlining for you, kind of how this has happened to Bitcoin in the past and what this could mean now. It probably means a little bit more downside is on the way, but we don't have to be worried or scared about things like this. It really just means a lot more opportunities could be on the horizon. I don't know how in the fuck the fear and greed index is still rising, or how Binance dumb retail traders are still more long than short. We now have 2 long positions for every short position. So if you wanted clear, obvious fucking signs that this market is probably going to keep dropping lower, then look no further than the fear and greed index and long and short ratio. Obviously, you guys know that I have been in a long position for a while, which I'm still in. This long position has made me over $200,000. I sat in over 400% profit. I'm obviously lower than that right now because the price of Bitcoin has been dropping, but I've secured some really nice gains. My stop loss is well above break even, so my worst case is that I make a lot of money on this trade, and for that reason, I'm not worried about this personally for my position. This is an update that's worth giving you guys so that you know how I personally feel, because even though I'm going to give you a video here, which, to be honest, this is fairly bearish in the short term, I still think that the long term for Bitcoin, the mid term for Bitcoin, is a bullish picture. I'm not convinced that Bitcoin is topped out here. I've spoken to you guys about that extensively, and I'll speak to you about it a lot more throughout the course of this and my following videos. So make sure you are subscribed so that you don't miss this content. And I want to remind you guys about this iPhone giveaway that Bybit is running. You've only got to deposit $100 when you sign up using my link, and this is available to you if you already have an account as well. You just need to make a new one, so everybody can participate, and they are giving you up to $30,000 in cash to trade markets completely free. So you don't even need to well, actually, you do need to trade, but you don't need to pay anything or anything like that. You just need to make your first deposit on Bybit and start trading, and they will give you free money to trade with on the platform up to 30K. And spot trading is free. So if you're interested in just normally buying and selling coins, it's completely free of charge. Check them out. They are always right at the top of the description over here, just below the altcoin channel. Now, here's the thing. For my current position, the reason that I'm not worried about it is because I'm seeing the drop down to 25K and then probably a recovery higher. I'm not seeing that this is a major market top and we're going to continue to set new lows. I always said that's possible, and I obviously still think that that is possible, but I just don't think it's probable. I don't think it's likely, right? Big difference between something that is possible versus something that is highly probable or somewhat probable to happen. So I don't think that it's likely. And the reason that I don't think it's likely is because we did a lot of what we need to set a bottom, and we've now formed a really strong rally off it. We've been setting higher lows as well. It's just not a bad chart, right? I mean, when we talk about sweeping the low, it's bad. Bad things would have to happen for Bitcoin to sweep this low. It would be a negative time in the space, right? Things would be generally pretty shit, right? Things were generally pretty shit when we were down here. It was just shit. Like, it's like there were horrible clouds over us all the time without a break, right? It's just not the same right now. Even now after this drop, it's not the same. So to say that we're going to revisit these lows and set new lows, I still don't think is what's going to happen. But I know that people are rushing to that, and at the same time, I know that retail can't get enough of Bitcoin right now, and they are just longing the fuck out of it. So that's interesting to see. Obviously, Bybit, the #1 exchange that I use, still majority short, and as Bybit was majority short during this market recently, the market did drop down, so we do tend to find better traders on there. I'm not saying that your exchange influences your trading, but I felt the same result too, so I don't know if there's anything to it. Obviously, there probably isn't. But back to the market here, that is important to keep in mind. But I do want to focus on these weekly candles just for the minute. I will get to the short-term analysis in a bit because I haven't spoken about that very much. There isn't much to say. But on the weekly time frame, this is important. Take a look at this. Let me use a different Bitcoin chart right here. And all this is showing us that we have erased a lot of our progress. And we have a few instances where this has happened in our recent history. Here's one right here. Take a look at this. We formed this big weekly sell-off candle, which eclipsed the previous 1, 2, 3 weeks of price action. Within 1 week, we erased 3 weeks of price action. And what happened next? We continued to drop. And we didn't continue to drop by a little bit. From the candle close to the low that we set, we fell by another nearly 10%. Now, you might not think that's particularly much, but it's still 10%. If we drop down from here by another 10%, that puts us down to 24.5K. So, in a sense, this is what I'm saying. It's like, 10% isn't that bad. But if the price actually falls down there, even though you and I both know it's a really good level for Bitcoin to be at, it's a support level for fuck's sakes. I keep saying the same damn thing. This is a support area for Bitcoin. So why you would be scared if Bitcoin falls down there, I don't know. But here we are anyway, and people are starting to lose their shit. And so if we do that, that would also make a lot of sense just in terms of being healthy for the market. But it's also very clear that the sell-off followed the bearish engulfing candle. Even this one right here, and I have a very interesting one I'm going to show you right after this, but even this one right here, we formed the bearish engulfing candle. We engulfed the previous 2 weeks of trading. I guess you could say 3 weeks of trading if you count this candle. Because this bearish engulfing candle was only slightly larger than all 3 of these candles. And the very next week, we drop even more. From the close to the low, this candle drops by 6%. So it's clear that we're seeing continued sell-offs. Again, a 6% drop is no big deal, but that's not the point. The point is that more blood follows. And also, engulfing candles have different effects at different points in the market. You might not think that these are scary numbers now, and I'm not trying to scare you. I want to be very clear with you. But something very important to keep in mind is that these bearish engulfing candles were formed when the market was at a major low. The market was at $20,000 flat when we were forming these bearish engulfing candles. So in a sense, and I'm not trying to say that this is an indestructible support area, but in a sense, we formed these quite bearish things at the most bullish level we could have formed them, right? Like let me rephrase that. We formed these quite bearish engulfing candles at really good times, at support levels. We formed them at support. It would be way worse. It would be way worse if, like right now, we formed a bearish engulfing candle when we were already so high up. Yeah, that's kind of the only thing that's got me a little bit shook. And I'm not worried about it. It just means that the sell-off might be harsh and quick and deep. But none of those things are particularly concerning because we're still super high. So something harsh, something quick. Well, if it's quick, that's what we want, really. Ideally, we want a quick drop. We just want to get it over with. But if it's harsh and if it's deep, well, we're $2,500 away from the 25K right from the 25K level right now. So that is fairly harsh. If it's stronger than that, okay, we get a little bit lower down to like 22. We're still at good price levels. This is what I would consider a fairly harsh sell-off, right? To get down to 22.5 from here, that's a 27% drop. That's more than what we're expecting, really. I mean, generally you're not, we don't need more than 20%. And so that would be a pretty harsh sell-off. And even then, we're still at really good levels, right? If we're talking about the market actually holding its ground, if we're talking about the market not fucking this up, basically, not coming back down to these lows, because that's what you and I want to avoid, right? We don't want to see the price coming down there. It's a long way down until we start facing that prospect. Like, we would have to lose the support here in order to, you know, really be bad, in my opinion, you know, because this was a big floor for the price. Losing this low would be pretty bad. That would mean that we're no longer, you know, setting higher lows. But in the same way, see, we set this low right here, then we set this low, then we set this low, and then we even set this low, and then if that low wasn't good enough, we set that one, and we still sweeped all of these lows right here, and it wasn't a problem. You know what I mean? So like, as long as we're still overall, and you really can stretch this quite a lot, but as long as we're still overall setting higher lows, does it really even matter? Not really. I mean, you know, as long as we're still setting higher lows, the only thing this means is trading opportunities. It just means volatility. It means people like me can swoop in, make some money real quick on this short position that I traded from when the price was selling off, closed very small profits. Admittedly, it wasn't anything to write home about, and then had the rest close and break even. So obviously I wanted to make a little bit more money on that trade, but I mean, you can see the chart yourself, it didn't move. So there was nothing for me to trade. You know, so I'm glad that I'm out of that, but I'm still interested in trading the downside, because if we're getting these extremely big moves to the downside, not even like big, but like, you know, quite strong profiled moves to the downside, that just means I get to make more money before the price continues to move up, if it does, because of course there are no guarantees, you know, but it just means that, you know, we're taking the scenic route and we're getting more opportunities to trade the market. I'm making a little bit more money than I otherwise would have been making. And well, you know, guess what? I'm a trader, so that's a good thing for me. So I'm really not worried about this stuff. That's why I'm super happy to be positioned on Bybit. It's definitely one of the best places to be. OKX is also super solid, and they are also giving you up to 30k in rewards. These guys just happen to also be like the best, biggest exchanges in the space, right? You can Google it yourself, and you're gonna find articles that are sponsored, by the way, where people are kind of like sponsored to write articles. But what you'll always see, if you just look at like the top volume and so on, is that these exchanges come out on top for serious traders that trade derivatives, which is the style of trading that I do, which is basically just slightly more aggressive, but way better returns. You know, it is these two that lead the space. They're both linked down below. With OKX, your 30k in rewards, you get it much easier than Bybit. All you have to do is register, and you get a mystery box that could be worth up to that is worth up to 10k. If you deposit $50, you get another one that's worth up to 10k, right? So it's a little bit easier than Bybit, because on Bybit you have to deposit a set amount, but the difference is with Bybit your reward is guaranteed. With OKX, it's a mystery box, so it's something that you have to open, and then it's down to luck what you get. But still both worth checking out, following those links down below. Definitely both solid exchanges with proven track records and so on. Now, if we do end up continuing to fall down, that means we've seen a little bit of consolidation here. Let's take a quick look. I will get back to the engulfing candles shortly, but I do want to talk about this very, very briefly, because there's a big engulfing candle pattern that I wanted to show you that I mentioned earlier on in the video. I'm getting to that shortly. Right now, what we've done is we've set a little low here where support doesn't really exist. We don't really have any price history ever, you know, for Bitcoin around these price levels. So there isn't a whole lot to go off. There isn't a whole lot to play with here. But we have seen a little bounce here from low to high. We're up by 2.5%, and we're basically just consolidating. I don't see any way that this doesn't continue to break down. It just kind of looks like a brief pause, because previously the sell-off was pretty relentless. I mean, on the daily time frame, if you take a look at this, we didn't even stop falling. So this kind of was due for a bit of a pause, you know, not necessarily anything big, but you know, something, and right now we do have something. So that is something that is worth taking into account. But also the Fibonacci support, you know, which also lies kind of right around here. This could turn into something useful, and we haven't actually fallen down here yet. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. I'm not saying that a miracle is going to happen here at all. I'm not expecting a miracle to happen, but it is still support, and it's something that's worth paying attention to, just for that reason in and of itself, right? I mean, you know, Fibonacci's can really surprise you, and these are strong. I mean, you know, I think there's a reason that just within this Fibonacci here that I'm drawing for you, you can see very, very clearly, we hit the 382 level as resistance, and then hit the 618 level as support before we formed the low and the high, right? We had the low, but we didn't have the high. So before it was even possible to draw this Fibonacci retracement, it was valid. That's fucking impressive, all right? You want a bad analogy from me? That's like a baby while it's still a fetus. I don't know, fucking making a scientific discovery. Like, that's how cool it is, in my opinion. Like, this Fibonacci retracement wasn't even born, all right? And it was already valid and showing us some pretty mind-blowing things. So if you're just gonna fade an area of support like this, I gotta press doubt on that one, bro, because I'm not feeling that. I think this is important. I think you know, you need to pay attention to this level. So that's something that I'm gonna continue to keep an eye on. But yeah, if we lose it, it is gonna be that 25k, you know, that we have to find a little bit more support, and it would be a more bloody sell-off. There also, it's not. This is it. Like, that is the only, like, this is the thing, is a 382 retracement is important. It's been proven important already. So I'm going to look up to it and take it quite seriously. But at the same time, there's nothing else. And as a technical analyst, I need confluence, right? Like, it doesn't matter how good the Fibonacci retracement is if it's the only thing that's telling me this price level is important. And it is, because the other price action for this level, that happened back in 2020 or 2021. You know, so it was too long ago to take into account. And even if there is something, it would have been so brief, like 1 day of consolidation, nothing big at all. So it's a double-edged sword. This level is puzzling me. I'm happy to not be interfering with it. But if I do end up re-entering my short position, which I definitely want to do, I'm not going to worry about this level, even though it is support. Personally, I'm just not, and it depends on how long we consolidate. You see, if we keep on consolidating up here, I'm going to become way more bearish about this support level, because a consolidation is exactly what you need to fuel up and make that next attack higher. I'm sorry, even stronger. So if this bearish rally, that's a weird word to use. If this bearish trend gets stronger because the market is consolidating after hitting a low, then I'm gonna be even more inclined on saying this support level fails, despite how important it is. So that really does, I think, convey what I feel about that. Let's take it back to the weekly chart though. Zoom back out and show you something else that's interesting. This is within a bull market. It's a little bit closer to what we're in right now, just in terms of, you know, Bitcoin right now has rallied up. It's basically doubled from its low. It's up quite nicely. It's in a good position. It was happy and flowery, and the fear and greed index was starting to reach some nice places too. In fact, it actually reached a reading of 68. I want to remind you guys about that. That was just 8 days ago that we had a reading of 68. So time flies. And what we had was back in 2017. This was actually, what was this? This was, I believe, the first and last time I ever panic sold my Bitcoin. I think it was right here, where Bitcoin rallied up really nicely and then had a strong pullback right off that high. It hit the glass ceiling at $3,000, and the crypto gods said, no, you're going back down. And just smacked us back down. And it was a big candle. You know, I mean, you might laugh at it now, but, you know, from high to low to lose 30% within less than a week is pretty crazy. You know, you definitely start thinking that everything is over, and you know, your hopes and dreams are shattered. Like, it's pretty real. I know it sounds stupid. I'm saying it with a smile now because it is so stupid, but that's exactly how it feels. And this was a bearish engulfing candle. You can only just see it. It's super. I mean, if you're on your phone, on an iPhone, you can probably zoom in if you're watching this on full screen. But that is indeed a bearish engulfing candle. And it's a funny example because it's technically true, but it resulted in quite a bit more, like, you know, not so comfortable downside, because we had 3 weeks of sideways first. So at the end of 3 weeks of sideways, it's like, come on, give us a fucking break. And then it dumps, you know? So it's like, yeah, 3 weeks of waiting and then fuck you. And that's just Bitcoin. Like, I mean, it's, you know, we have to laugh about it because otherwise it's depressing, but that's how Bitcoin behaves. You know, and the reason I'm showing you that kind of thing is because we had a lot of, you know, there was a lot of good going on for Bitcoin. It almost felt like, you know, we were celebrating prematurely before the characters in a movie get slaughtered. And this could be that, you know, if we do end up dropping. So even a few weeks of sideways and then a bit of a drop, you know, just I don't want you guys to be surprised by these possibilities. This is what happens to Bitcoin when we form bearish engulfing candles. It's a big deal. It never really has you know, an immediate happy ending. You know, this was quite a bearish engulfing candle. Take a look at this one right here. It only engulfed one candle, but it led to quite a bit of sell-off, right? So, you know, here's another bearish engulfing candle. Again, it only engulfs one candle, but pretty damn important candle there. And then bam, look at that. Big downside. It actually carries on, you know, into the next 2 weeks, and it drops the price by another 14%. You know, we're not talking about like small percentage moves here. Here's another bearish engulfing candle. You know, it's actually quite, here's another one. 1, 2, 3 candles gone within 1 week of price action. And look at what happens the next week, down by 35%. Bearish engulfing candles are serious. Sometimes they don't work out. Here's another bearish engulfing candle at a high. Very similar to our current position, not as bad because it only engulfs 1 week of price action. Ours engulfs 4, so ours is 4 times worse by that measure. You know, and on this occasion, nothing really happens. We just continue moving up the next week. It's just a little brief stumble, right? So you can see that it's not 100%, right? Here's another bearish engulfing candle, maybe. It's pretty tight, but it looks like it's an engulfing. Yes, it is. You know, and nothing happens. The next week, we're back up. So, you know, sometimes it doesn't really matter. But one of the things that really makes it much more likely to be a problem is if you engulf multiple candles. If you've engulfed more than one candle, if you've engulfed 2, 3, 4 candles, on this occasion it was 2 candles, we continued to move down here. Again, not by a whole lot, but it's something. It's 10%, right? It's definitely worth talking about, you know, and that repeats throughout history. So if there's anything I found, you know, like if it were up to me, we would have more engulfing candles, more bullish and more bearish, because this is the same thing in reverse. You know, if there's anything that I've learned during my time as a trader, it's that you fucking pay attention to an engulfing candle. that's a clear lesson that I've picked up. You know, and I'm not going to ignore it on this occasion here, which is why I'm probably going to be looking just for the ultra short term at some short positions. I really don't have to. It's almost quite an aggressive play. It's almost a little bit too aggressive for my style, but at the same time, it looks like that's where some pretty decent money can be made, and my stop loss is in a profit on my Bitcoin trade, so I don't really care what happens there. I've already made over 100 just on that trade, so you know, I'm pretty okay with, you know, opening up some more risk. And here's the deal, guys. If you do want to see how I'm trading these markets in real time, it's not always like this. I lose money too. You know, it happens. If you want to see how I navigate that, you know, and just everything that goes into it from start to finish, how I decide to enter my trades and so on, everything is available for you guys with the link in the description. If you follow these steps on screen right here, join the 𝐕 Gold Telegram channel, and then just click on my name at the bottom of any post. You can send me a message there and ask me how to join VIP, how to get access into the 𝐕 Academy course. Most of you guys that join VIP will be getting that course completely free of charge as well. And this is my this link here. It takes you to my free Telegram channel where I just give you more analysis for myself and my team around the clock. It's just completely free, ping straight to your phone. Telegram is an app that you can download onto your phone, but you don't need to download anything, and you don't need to sign up to anything either. It is super easy. So it's well worth checking out if you haven't done so already. Yeah, just by following these links down here. And of course, yeah, taking advantage of these offers. I mean, you know, 60K between these two exchanges available to you. Prime XBT if you want to trade, you know, the indices, markets, commodities, and Forex. You know, you have an additional $7,000 that they're willing to give you just for free. You know, just literally 7%. Prime XBT's offer is the simplest out of the 3 exchanges that I'm working with. Prime XBT is literally just whatever you deposit, 7% of it comes back into your account as a bonus that you can trade with when you follow my link to it in the description. So that is definitely worth checking out as well. You know, overall, again, like I said, not super worried. Lots of opportunities spelling here. I'm very interested in Ethereum and the altcoin market, and that's where I'm going to be headed directly after this YouTube video. So if you have enjoyed this one and you want a little bit more, come join me on the 𝐹𝐹𝐹𝐹 Daily channel right after this. I'm going to be making my altcoin video right now. If you have enjoyed it, though, do me a favor and smash up the likes, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, tick the bell so you get notified for this content, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.